story Cyber Sleuth has a fun online competitive mode where players can show off their combat prowess by making their carefully constructed Digimon team fight against teams made by other players. As with any game with an online feature, the competitive world can be pretty brutal, and players will have no issue punishing you for using less than optimized Digimon. In Cyber Sleuth or Hacker's Memory, any single Digimon can be constructed in a multitude of ways. Within a competitive team, you will likely assign a few team members as offense-focused attackers. In this video, we will go through a step-by-step process on how to create a physical attacker. This video assumes a few things. 1. You have 2 or more Platinum Numemon and you know how to level up your Digimon very quickly. 2. You understand what ABI is and what this stat can do for your Digimon. 3. The majority of the field guide is filled. The more entries you have, the easier this process becomes. If you have filled every entry for ultimate level or below, then you're more than ready. 4. You have access to a lot of friendship or friendship DXs. The friendship items are not actually always necessary, but it makes accessing certain evolutionary routes much easier. And you're better off with max cam in the long run. The first thing you want to do to start off is to decide what Digimon you'll want to work on. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to use Machinedramon as an example. Looking at its stats, Machinedramon seems to naturally learn a few of the inherited skills that I wanted to have. It can learn Nano Machine Break 3 and Thunderfall 3, which are very good, low-cost physical attacking moves. It also naturally learns Attack Charge Field and Speed Break Field, which are excellent utilities. However, there are several other inherited skills that I need to acquire from other Digimon in order to fully realize Machinedramon's combat potential. So now that I've decided to make Machinedramon, I now need a Digimon to start off with to begin my construction. Literally any Digimon will work as a starting point. So I go to the lab and use DigiConvert. I prefer to convert Digimon that I have with 200% data on because converting that Digimon gives me a tiny head start of 5 ABI. And Antilimon is a great starting point actually. Now I de-digivolve Antilimon all the way down to Lopmon. Then I exit the Digilab, go to my favorite level up spot, and level up Lopmon. Then I go back to the lab and digivolve Lopmon into a Devimon. Through Devimon, I level him up to acquire Physical Drain. This is our first mandatory move, so we keep it in our skill pool no matter what. Now that we have Physical Drain, my next intent is to acquire a couple of important status effects. By de-digivolving into Demi-Devimon, I can easily get Panic Wisp. Then we digivolve Demi-Devimon back into Devimon again. Now I digivolve Devimon into a Skalsadamon and level him up to obtain character reversal. I also get to acquire Destruction Cannon 3, which is a decent coverage option. Once again, I de-digivolve back into Devimon. Starting with Devimon once again, this time we Digivolve into Metal Greymon Blue. And from Metal Greymon Blue, we Digivolve into Black War Greymon. As Black War Greymon, we can get Guard Charge Field through level up. If you want, you may choose to continue leveling up until you get Meteor Fall 3. Next, we de-Digivolve all the way down to Greymon. Here, we can get a mandatory skill, Acceleration Boost. Then we de-Digivolve again as Agumon. Here, we can acquire Attack Charge through level up. This time, we will be taking the Geo Greymon route, and we will Digivolve all the way up to Shine Greymon. Here, we can get another extremely important skill in Chain Max. Now we have everything we need for our Machinedramon. From here, we have to take an evolutionary route that will lead us into Machinedramon. Fortunately, that's actually pretty simple. All we have to do is de-Digivolve back down to Geo Greymon. Now that we are here, we will now Digivolve into Gigadramon. And finally, we can Digivolve into Machinedramon. Through all that leveling, Digivolving, and de-Digivolving, Machinedramon should have gained a rather impressive ABI stat in the process. If this hasn't reached 200 quite yet, this is the part where you're free to Digivolve and de-Digivolve until you max out that ABI. With all those inherited skills at our disposal and our ABI maxed, our Digimon can be put in the Digifarm to gain bonus stats through training. Before you do that, make sure you change the personality of your Digimon into one that best suits its training. Here, I choose the Fighter personality. Once that's done, you can choose to take the time to train and gain stats organically, or spend a lot of yen to buy feeds that increase specific stats for you. The stat distribution is really up to the player's preference, but I personally like to dump the majority of those points on the attack stat for physical attackers. And now we have reached the end of the guide. I hope this helped you get a sense of how you would construct the Digimon competitively. I know I'm a few years very late into the Cyber Sleuth games, but I hope this guide becomes useful for players who are dipping their toes into the franchise for the first time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and perhaps also subscribe to the channel, as I will be making more content like this in the future. If you have any feedback or some neat evolutionary routes that you use for creating Digimon, let me know in the comments below. You can actually plan out a route yourself by using the Digipath Finder, which I will link in the description below. However, their calculator might lead you to Digimon that you don't have access to yet, or fusions that force you to use two Digimon. In my experience, I was better off familiarizing myself with the field guide to know where to go and not to go. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching.